Hello, welcome. I'm Mark Thomas. How do you make God laugh? Tell him your plans. That's an old joke, but of course the old ones are the best ones. Have you got plans for another 3 weeks of lockdown? Did you have plans prior to all this? Of course you did. Prior to all this, you didn't expect to be in this position, did you? And yes, I had plans too. Now, to be honest, I'm not the best planner in the world. I don't plan very far ahead, and I don't often plan in great detail. Sometimes people ask me, do you know what the plan is next week? And my usual response is, sorry, I don't know what the plan is tomorrow. However, I do know that today is Sunday, and it's the Sunday after Easter Sunday, and therefore there was a plan. I did have a plan. I say was because most of our plans have now gone out of the window, haven't they? They've been shelved, delayed, postponed. We've hit the pause button on them, right? With the coronavirus pandemic continuing to affect all our lives, one way or another, everything now seems to be on hold. That's what happens when some life-changing event occurs. The birth of a child or a grandchild, the death of a partner or a parent, a family member or a close friend, personal illness or a life-changing accident, the trauma of a flood or a fire or a burglary. You get the idea. These life-changing events cause us to pause. Sometimes they lead to panic, other times to ponder. That might be your experience. I wonder if it's the experience of my namesake in the Bible, a guy called Thomas. We read about him in John's Gospel, John chapter 20. Perhaps you'd like to hit the pause button on this video and go and get a Bible and open it to John chapter 20, where you'll be able to read verses 19 to 31, where Jesus appears to Thomas. Perhaps go and do that now. Come back in a moment. Thomas. He's been called the patron saint of doubters, but really I think he's simply the patron saint of the chronically late. If you've ever been late for a meeting or an event or a family gathering, Thomas is your man. He walks into a room and the others already there crowd in on him. Guess what? He was here. You missed him. He was here. Yes, Jesus. He breathed on our faces. Okay, that was a bit weird. And then he showed us his wounds. It really was him. And now, a week after Easter, maybe you're wondering, did I miss anything last week? Last weekend? Did I miss Easter? Have I missed Jesus? Poor Thomas. He seemed to miss out. So a week later, he is asking for what Jesus had given to the others without them needing to ask. Evidence that he was risen from the dead. The other disciples had already had a personal meeting with Jesus. Yet Thomas struggles to take on trust what the others say. We're not so different, are we? I've always struggled to believe things just because somebody's told me that I have to and that I should. Questions, questions, questions. The best learners, the best counsellors, the best troubleshooters ask lots of questions. The best turnaround project managers and pioneers ask lots of questions. What do you do there? What are you thinking when you do that? What's the thought behind that process? What would happen if we did something differently? You too might be big on questions. Well, in my book, no question is unaskable, no dogma is unquestionable, and no truth is unshakable. So I think questions are good. And I think Thomas was a man of questions. So let's get back to him. Doubting Thomas, as he is forever known. He's the guy who famously doesn't get it, the one who needs a special appearance from Jesus, complete with wounds that he can poke his finger into before he'll bring himself to his own statement of faith. Or so we're led to believe. However, despite the lurid depictions of pretty much every artistic representation of this scene, there is no actual record of Thomas prodding his finger curiously into the wounds of Jesus' side. Rather, he responds to Jesus' invitation to do so by simply uttering the most profound and personal declaration of faith, "My Lord and my God." There's a delicious irony, I think, in the fact that it takes this so-called doubter to express such faith. Only Thomas's grasp that in Jesus the incomparable love of God has taken on flesh and become physical is seen in him. Indeed, these are not the words of a doubtful prodder, but the declaration of a faithful follower. Here are some other words written in a letter some years ago. I wonder if you can guess which 20th century person they come from. Jesus has a very special love for you. As for me, the silence and the emptiness is so great that I look and do not see, listen and do not hear. There is such terrible darkness within me, as if everything was dead. When I try to raise my thoughts to heaven, there is such convicting emptiness that those very thoughts return like sharp knives and hurt my very soul. I am told that God loves me, and yet the reality of darkness and coldness and emptiness is so great that nothing touches my soul. Hear the doubt in those words in that letter, a doubt that is wrestling. Did you guess that those struggles, that listening, that yearning for God in the midst of doubt, came from Mother Teresa? It's been said that doubt is the skeleton on which faith is built, and that's not far wrong. However, primarily, faith is built on relationship. Faith in God is a relationship with God, and not a set of beliefs about God. So Thomas did not so much come to believe in the resurrection as come to faith in the risen Christ. Recognizing that Jesus entered into the depths of human pain and sorrow and suffering to overcome despair, despondency, disaster, disappointment, and even death, and to offer new life, resurrection life, new hope, resurrection hope, forgiveness and peace and relationship with God. These are what Jesus brings. And you and I can know and experience that too. The best thing to do is to just ask him. Now, we're not in the same position that Thomas was in. We do not have the opportunity to physically touch Jesus' side, which is why verse 29 of John chapter 20 is so wonderful for us. It's a beatitude, a blessing, and it says this: "Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed." Read it for yourself. Verse 29. Now, the whole of John's Gospel provides us with the best evidence that he can muster to persuade us that faith in Jesus is not only a reasonable choice, but a necessary decision. In fact, that's the very purpose of these writings, to come to believe and to confirm that belief, to produce and foster faith, to awaken faith for the first time, and to strengthen it when it's already there. And so a suitable prayer might be, give us new faith and belief for this day and onwards. Refresh our existing faith and belief for this day and onwards. Anyway, if you want to know more, do feel free to drop me a line or send me a message. It'd be lovely to hear from you. Now, we normally finish our Sunday services when we gather at Mount Pleasant with a song or a hymn. So I want to leave you with something for you to sing along to, with words that are inspired by Isaiah chapter 40, verse 12. The link is below. Just click on it and behold our God, for nothing compares to him.